Hi everybody. Thank you so much for joining our presentation today. I hope you're having a great time at Rising. Today we're going to be talking about onboarding, specifically talking about onboarding plans, how you can be successful with those. We are CloudRock, so Brad and I both work for CloudRock. We are a Workday partner, experts in optimization, extend, which you'll hear from Brad a bit later on, advisory. So yeah, come and see us at booth 405 as well after the session. We'd love to talk to you. Product statement, I'm sure you've seen this once or twice already if you've been to any sessions, so I won't dwell, just in case we talk about any forward-looking statements as we go through. So just some introductions. The man to my right is Brad Bush. He is our Extend and Products Director. He's a very smart guy. If you've got any interest in Extend apps or anything like that, he's your guy to come and talk to. I'm Nick Hancox. I'm the Global Talent Acquisition Domain Lead at CloudRock. So all things Workday recruiting and onboarding as we'll discuss today. So yeah, we'll skip on. So we've got 4 things on our agenda today. First I want to set the scene, talk about the importance of onboarding. Some of these things I think will resonate with you, perhaps with the experience you're having now and what you would like to get towards. We'll talk about onboarding done badly versus onboarding plans and the value you can get from those. And then the next thing I want to talk about, I've called it 4 steps to success. We're working with numerous customers on onboarding plans, and we've learned quite a lot actually from those engagements that we've had so far. So I really want to share that because I think sometimes the configuration isn't the difficult part, it's actually getting the traction and getting things moving, getting the ownership. So I'll elaborate more as we go through. And then I'm going to hand over to Brad, and he's going to talk about Smart Assign and Onboarding, which is one of our Extend built on Workday apps. So just a few quotes about the importance of onboarding. I'm not going to read through them all. I just thought it's nice to share the importance from Michael D. Watkins, Sarah Wetzel, Anonymous. That I actually made the Anonymous one up, but I thought it was a bit pretentious putting my own name on the slide when I was presenting, so we'll go with Anonymous. And then what I want to talk about is what happens when onboarding's done badly. So this might be something that resonates with you at the moment. I find onboarding can become quite a grey area. Is it TA? Is it HR? And that can obviously impact the candidate experience and the HR team's experience. Often the talent acquisition team will find themselves trying to supplement the lack of communication or trying to kind of maintain that level of communication that they've had through the recruiting process, so it's a much more kind of one-to-one point of contact. And often the transactional nature of onboarding in Workday doesn't reflect who you are as an organisation. So you want it to be a more engaging experience, something that people are going to enjoy as they're onboarded. From a manager point of view, going through the recruiting process, finding the perfect candidate, you don't want to be having that worry. Are they going to turn up? Are they happy that they've made this decision? And then obviously that can impact retention. So if people don't have a good joining experience, that can be quite hard to come back from if their first impression of the organisation isn't a good one. The new hire, obviously very important. After all the excitement, they've accepted the role. The worst thing that can happen is that feeling of going into a black hole. I haven't heard anything. I accepted my offer, it's all gone quiet. That's not a good experience as a new joiner. So yeah, that lack of contact, again, doesn't reflect who you are as an organisation. You want them to join on the first day, not have an inbox full of tasks, but come in feeling that they're prepared, they're not overwhelmed, and they're happy that they've joined you. So, that's onboarding done badly, but with onboarding plans, what this allows you to do is remove that grey area. You can engage with people straight away, you can configure different plans, you can tailor the content and the communications to your new joiners, and it just gives a much more joined up experience, the continuation from TA to joining and then going into your HR services potentially, much more joined up, and it feels less task heavy and more content driven, so it's a much nicer experience. From a manager point of view, you're less concerned, you know that you're confident that your new joiner is going to go through the stages they need to go through, they're going to be guided through the content they need to see, and they're going to join and have a really nice experience. The new joiner, once they've accepted their offer, they've got clear expectations. What's going to happen on my first day? I feel like I've made the right decision joining the organisation. I feel like I understand the culture. I'm really happy to be here, all those kind of things. So I think it's a really nice way of actually building that engagement with your new joiners. So what I want to talk through now I know I've sort of set the scene a bit, I've whizzed through it a bit because we've got quite a lot to get through. There's some things we've learned working with our customers around how to be successful. As I mentioned at the beginning, it's not the configuration, it's who's going to own it, what is the content, what do we want the experience to be, whose decision is it to make that, is it a TA thing, is it an HR thing? You need to make all these decisions to help you to be successful. So the first thing, with getting started, there's a few things I would recommend that you do before you get started. Have a look at your onboarding business process. It's really important that if you've got an onboarding business process that's clunky or things are getting stuck, putting a nice onboarding plan around it is kind of going to be putting a plaster over it. You need to make sure that you've got a really nice process to work hand in hand with your onboarding plans. Watch an end-to-end demo. Make sure you're familiar with the different types of content, the different types of options. Start to think about how that would work for you, what your expectations are. If you can't find a demo on Community, come to CloudRock. We'll happily give you a demo of onboarding plans. Understand how the process and the plans work in parallel. The two things don't talk to each other, so that think of them, the process still exists, sending the tasks. The plan is the nice wrapper around the edges that makes it a really nice experience for your new joiner. Familiarize yourselves with the different types of content. We've got announcements, bulletins, cards, etc., all different ways of presenting nice information. Understand how these work, how they're presented, so you can give the image that you want your new joiners to see when they join. And then also, if you're lucky enough to have learning or talent optimization or journeys, think about, do you want to bring these into your onboarding experience? Because you can. You can actually pull these into your onboarding and actually start to deliver content and actions for people to complete when they join. Think about your approach. Are you going to do one global plan for everyone? Is it always the same experience? Or do you have a pilot population in mind? Maybe you've got an area where or a country where you're doing a lot of hiring, so that's going to be your target first to concentrate on that. Think about if you've got key geographies or business units, or do you just want to go big bang and say, right, we're going to do everything? Which, as it says on the slide here, it's not a one size fits all. Different organizations will have a different approach. But think about what content do you have? What can you achieve in the timeline that you've set yourselves? Where adds the most value? And then also, think about what is your onboarding timeline? What does it look like for a new joiner? So you want to understand your plans. When you're thinking about this, think about the different stages. Your onboarding plans can be broken down into stages where you deliver different content at different times, potentially to different audiences. Do you have set stages? Or is this different depending on which type of role you're hiring for? Do you deliver different content? You might have different content for somebody who's in a retail role as opposed to an office-based role. You can manage that through the configuration in Workday. These things are really key to consider because they will impact the number of plans you need to create. You can use plans to consolidate if the stages are the same. So if you always have the stages I've mentioned, pre-start, day one, week one, month one, you might be able to have a global plan and manage that with rules around your audiences. If not, if you've got different stages, then you might want to maintain different plans to then make sure you're giving the experience for the relevant experience for the joiner. Last thing, very important, does the content you want to share already exist, or does it need to be created? It's a really important thing to think about, because content. We have worked with lots of customers, and we've talked about onboarding, we've shown them the functionality, people get very excited and think, this is lovely, it's great, we want to go with this. We go through the design conversations, and then there's the moment of realization of, well, who's got this content? Do we need to make it? Or can we use this content? Who can sign off to say that, yes, we can use that? Is that up to date, or do we need to get a new version of this? Can we leverage that? And it can really slow you down when you're implementing. So really think about that content, and think about, do you want to go with everything all in one go? Or do you want to start and say, we've got these things we can work with to begin with, and then we'll incrementally add things as we go. So I'll just skip on. What do you have available now? What do you need to create? Who's going to create it? Whose responsibility is it? Who owns it? Do you have different content for different audiences? Always think about the user experience when you're thinking through this. But also think about what might you want to develop for the future. You may not have everything for day one, you might have a nice experience to start, but have a plan of like, how might this evolve over time? What sort of things might we need to change? For example, if you have a message from your CEO and the CEO changes, who's going to be responsible for creating the new video and getting that put into the plan and making sure that what you're showing your new joiners is up to date when you're presenting it to them? Showcase your culture and values. Make sure that you're establishing a sense of belonging for your new joiners. It's really about making people feel they've made the right decision, they're happy they've joined, they understand who you are as an organisation. We've seen things like people showing like, what did the organisation do in the community? Share things that are going to resonate with people when they join the organisation. And the last point I want to touch there is, don't look at this as a task-oriented piece of functionality. That's what your onboarding plan does. That's going to deliver your tasks where you need to collect your information. This is the experience wrapper that goes around it. This is videos, this is content, this is bulletins, this is helping people to navigate through their first days, weeks, months with you as an organisation. They're still going to have the tasks that they'll need to complete, but this just makes it a much more joined up and enjoyable experience for them, rather than kind of being so transactional. So I'm going to go on. I'm not going to spend too long on this slide because this is just our continuous improvement cycle, because as I've mentioned, it's really important to understand what's the governance going to be around your onboarding plans, who owns them, who makes the decision of what does go into the onboarding plans and doesn't, how do you make sure you're continuing to review them and improve them. All of these things are really important. It's like when you have your global process owners who will look after things like your recruiting, your HCM, those types of things. You need to have somebody who's going to be the owner of this and to make sure that you continually develop it and you continually release the value. Also, with this being a new piece of functionality, you want to make sure that you're on top of the new functionality that gets released in the different releases. This is something where I would really look out for things like onboarding plans being available in Change Job. Are you ready that when that becomes available, are you ready that actually you can then start to use it? So you really need to kind of make sure that it isn't a one and done. You don't just deploy it and then it's there and then it's left to be. So hopefully that's useful. I hope I've left you enough time, Brad, to talk about our wonderful Smart Assign onboarding app.
Awesome.
And you can also have the clicker.
Yep, perfect. All right, guys. Thank you very much, Nick. So I'm going to stand on this side of the room because, okay. So this is a part of the experience, and I think what Nick's spoken about right up to now is the actual process of how we could enhance or make the onboarding process as seamless as possible. It's all sat within Workday, but there's a big element that's not really in Workday and could be in an external system that you're actually using for provisioning devices for your employees. So I think what happens usually, or based on experiences that we've had in the past with various customers, the processes and stuff within Workday are to the T, they're doing what they're meant to do. But this big element of the device having to be provisioned from another system is at times what causes hiccups. So the example that we're using here, the way we've built this product, is essentially it integrates with ServiceNow, but over a period of time we are enhancing it to integrate with Cornerstone, Azure DevOps, and Jira as well. So as it stands, just before we jump into what this app really does, as Workday partners, we are enabled a bit on Workday partners as well, which means this app or these apps that we build are available in the marketplace, can be purchased off the marketplace, plugged into your tenant to work the way you want it to work. And it, like I said, it can integrate, at the moment it integrates with ServiceNow, but it also can integrate with a few other third-party systems that you use for asset provisioning. I think the story is this, or rather the story that we've heard is mainly around employees coming to work or being ready for their first day of work and are quite underwhelmed with an experience where the assets are either missing or have not reached their desks on time, or probably their laptops and their mobiles they've received it, but there are certain other elements that have still gone missing, which probably there are tickets raised with IT and stuff which are sitting on another system altogether. So what we've done here is we've built this app that actually enables it and enhances that experience for the end user. And needless to say, this is on the marketplace, which means it's almost a sort of plug and play capability that we provide our Workday customers. So this is what we've got. This is the solution that we've got. Everything that you see on the right-hand side here, on the top right-hand corner there, is an image of what this dashboard looks like in Workday. It's a replication of the data that is pulled off ServiceNow, all right? Every time I use the word ServiceNow, feel free to replace it with Concur, feel free to replace it with Jira, or DevOps, or Cornerstone, because that's all on the roadmap for the next release. So essentially, what problem it's solving at this point of time is the manager not having to jump in and out of multi-portals, the employee not having to jump in and out of multi-portals from Workday to ServiceNow to get this detail. It's all within Workday, which means if the manager's got to do something, or if the manager's got to action something, they can just click on the links on the RITM number. RITM number is what we've called it. Your organization could call it whatever you all want. They just click on the links there. It actually redirects them to ServiceNow and gets them to actually action it directly from there, which means they don't have to go through their Outlook, they don't have to go through their emails, they don't have to go through any of those kind of things, because it's all on their homepage within Workday itself. On the bottom right corner, you've got the actual dashboard, which is visible to probably super users or HR users or even managers for any outstanding tasks that is relevant in the asset provisioning system, in this case, which is ServiceNow. So all in all, it's a very simple app. It's an app that does the basic connectivity from your asset provisioning system, gets the data back into Workday, and allows it to be actioned from within Workday itself. Apart from this, the way this app has been built, just so that we are all clear, the way that this app is built, it services this use case for getting details back and forth from these third-party systems, but the way that it's built, you can actually get it to get a lot more detail back. So if you do not want to use it on your asset provisioning journey or on your onboarding journey, and there are other things that you are capturing in these third-party systems, and you want the data to come back, you could actually use that dashboard, run a different query in the background, and actually present that data in Workday itself, where you could actually action the data from Workday itself without having to jump in and out of different systems. Needless to say, the dashboard is built out, or rather pulls out data that's from the screen up there. So everything that comes into Workday can be reported on. Everything that comes into Workday sits within the app. The app is its own data source, which means you can report on it the way you feel like. You can have dashboards, you can have trending reports, you can have notifications fire off based on the data that you have in there. So that's the solution that we've got in place in the marketplace at this point of time to kind of circumnavigate around the issues of having to jump through into multiple portals to close off assets and asset provisioning issues. Like I've stated, these are that's where the app is at right now. The highlights for the app, or the highlights that we see in phase 2, again, phase 2 is skewed for February through April next year, Q2 next year, Q1 next year rather. We actually want the ability to actually create these service requests from Workday itself. So someone's joining in 2 months, as part of the onboarding or as part of the readiness for this person to join, you shouldn't be having to jump into multi-portals and say, okay, let's raise a ticket for a new laptop, let's raise a ticket for a new mobile device. You should have the ability to raise it within Workday itself, and Workday integrates with ServiceNow. So from a provisioning perspective or from an onboarding perspective, we want Workday to be your one-stop shop for these kind of things. There are several organizations that have spoken to us about business rules for assignment of assets. So there are certain assets that are applicable to a certain population in a certain country at a certain point of time. Instead of having that provisioned or created in your third party, we want that to be done in Workday itself. And then you've, of course, got the integration with the new service providers. 3 more, which is SAP Concur, Cornerstone, and Jira. There's a 4th one, which is DevOps as well, which I've just spoken about. And every other enhancement that we do, that does come up from feedback that we receive in phase 1 from the app that's already available in the marketplace. So I think that's about it from closing out the experience from a process plus an application perspective. The application is a CloudRock application, which means it doesn't come out of the box. It's not available on Workday subscription. It has to be purchased separately from the marketplace. So that's it. That's the life of this product in a nutshell, and that's my role on this panel. Nick, do you have anything else to say?
Yeah, sure. I think we've got just under a minute if we want to do questions.
Yeah, we've just got under a minute. If anyone has any questions,
we've got a small...
feel free to raise your hand and we can talk about it.
You have a question? Oh, I thought it was a question. You have a question? Fantastic. I can't hear you. Is it not working? Is it on?
That's all right.
I can ask you at the end.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Perfect. So, yeah, how have you connected then the manager and the new joiner together via the onboarding plans? Have you been able to do that connection?
In which way, sorry?
So, for example, messaging from there, or interacting and tracking their progress, their new joiners' progress through the onboarding plan itself.
So you've got some delivered reports as well that come as part of the onboarding plan functionality, and in the last release, Workday actually opened up some of the report fields, so there's more capability to do custom reporting. So I think that's something that you probably want to do when you're looking through deploying this, is have a look and think, well, what do we want to surface to the manager? What do we want to show them and at what stages? And then having that reporting to supplement what the new joiners' experience is as well. So I think that's something that initially there's definitely, I'd have a look at it and think, are the standard reports going to meet what you need, or do you potentially want to create some custom reports as well to track that?
I have another question.
Go for it. You can.
No. We're a minute over, right?
Yeah, that's all right. I think.
No, is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. And then how do you get the manager to know what they need to do in the journey, for example? So that's all good for the candidate perspective, but how do you then tell the managers, okay, manager, you need to do X, Y, and Z before Nick joins next week?
Yeah, I think that can be a combination. There's some things you can do with notifications from the process. I think you probably want to have a look and think, what is it you're wanting to tell them and when? Because I think ideally you want the plan to take some of that legwork out for you, so that the manager will be able to see, I know that they're going to get this at the right time, so I know they're going to get their new joiner learning because we're pulling that in automatically. So my initial thought would be, why can't we get the plan to sort of automate some of that, and then have it as more like a reporting thing for the manager, so they can just kind of track the progress. I get what you mean about some of the manager tasks though as well, so you're thinking about things that they also need to be doing.
Yeah, like giving them more support,
Yeah.
set up more experiential stuff for them.
Well, we've also seen organisations do things, you can push things like in the content, say, why don't you speak to your manager about your goals, or like you can push something into there, like a journey maybe, to say like, time to set some goals, you've been here for a month now, have a chat with your manager, to try and make it like a new joiner-led thing as well. And then, because I think that kind of helps it to be less of a sort of going through a checklist, and it feel a little bit more natural for the new joiner as well. Yeah. I think we've run out of time, but if anybody would like to ask questions and didn't have a chance, we're at booth 405. Do swing by, happy to continue the conversation, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.